Hello, and welcome to Between Thoughts. I'm Lily.
And I'm David. This is a space where we talk about the quieter moments of being human, the stuff that happens between the busy thoughts.
Today, we're exploring something that might feel a little scary at first. Learning to sit with your thoughts. Not fighting them, not trying to fix them.
Right.
Just sitting with them, like you would sit with a friend who's having a hard time.
You know, Lily, I was thinking about this yesterday. I had this moment where my mind was just racing. You know how I get sometimes? One worry leads to another, and suddenly you're 3 steps ahead, imagining problems that haven't even happened yet. I was sitting in my car after a meeting, and my phone buzzed with an email from my boss. Just the notification alone sent my mind spinning. What if it's bad news? What if I mess something up? What if there are layoffs coming? Within seconds, I had myself fired, homeless, and explaining to my kids why we had to move back in with my parents.
Oh, absolutely. That spiral feeling.
And the funny thing is, when I finally opened the email, it was just about updating my emergency contact information, something completely routine. But in that moment, my mind had already written this whole catastrophic story based on nothing, just a notification sound. Exactly. And normally, my first instinct is to push those thoughts away, to distract myself or tell myself to stop thinking about it. But yesterday, I just sat there. I let the thoughts be there.
How did that feel?
Uncomfortable at first, like really uncomfortable. But then something strange happened. The thoughts didn't get bigger, they didn't take over, they just existed. And after a while, they started to fade on their own.
That's such a beautiful way to describe it. Because I think most of us have been taught that thoughts are dangerous somehow. Like if we pay attention to a worried thought or a sad thought, it's going to get stronger.
Right, or that we're supposed to be positive all the time.
Exactly. But what if thoughts are just like weather? They come and go. Some days are sunny, some days are stormy. But we don't try to control the weather outside, do we? We don't stand at our window demanding that the rain stop or get angry at the clouds for being gray. We might not love the rain, but we don't fight it either. We just let it rain, and then it stops raining. And you know what's interesting about that metaphor? Sometimes the most beautiful moments happen during or right after storms. I remember driving through the mountains once during a thunderstorm, and just as it was ending, the sun broke through these massive dark clouds and created the most incredible light. It was almost otherworldly. If I had been fighting the storm the whole time, cursing it for ruining my drive, I would have missed that moment of beauty.
I'm curious, Lily, when you first started trying to sit with difficult thoughts, what was that like for you?
Oh, it was terrible at first. I remember sitting there thinking, this is not working. I feel worse, not better. I was so used to running from uncomfortable feelings, staying busy, checking my phone, cleaning the house, anything to avoid just being with what was there. I had this whole arsenal of distraction techniques. I could reorganize my entire closet rather than sit with anxiety for 5 minutes. I'd binge watch shows until 2 a.m. to avoid the quiet moments where difficult thoughts might surface. It was like I was allergic to my own inner life.
The staying busy part? That's so relatable.
Right, but I realized that all that running was actually making me more tired. It's exhausting to constantly avoid your own thoughts. It's like, imagine if you spent all day trying not to think about a pink elephant.
You just think about pink elephants all day. Exactly. And it's exhausting, isn't it? All that mental energy spent trying not to think about something. It reminds me of that old psychology experiment where they told people not to think about a white bear for 5 minutes. Of course, everyone could think about nothing but white bears. The harder you try to suppress a thought, the more mental resources it actually consumes.
Exactly. The effort of pushing thoughts away actually gives them more power. But when you just acknowledge them, like saying, oh, there's that worried thought again, or I notice I'm feeling sad right now, they don't have to be the boss of you. And different types of thoughts seem to require different approaches, don't they? Like anxious thoughts have this urgent, buzzing quality. They want immediate attention and solutions. Sad thoughts feel heavier, more lingering. Angry thoughts can feel hot and demanding. But in each case, the practice is similar, just noticing what type of visitor has arrived in your mental space without immediately trying to change them or fix them.
That reminds me of something that happened to my neighbor Sarah.
She told me about this time when her teenage son was going through a really rough patch. He was angry all the time, slamming doors, barely talking to the family.
Oh, that sounds really hard for everyone.
It was. And Sarah said her first instinct was to try to fix him, to talk him out of being angry, to solve whatever was wrong. She tried reasoning with him, offering solutions, even bribing him with things he used to enjoy. She'd lie awake at night researching teenage behavior, reading parenting books, calling other parents for advice, but nothing she tried was working. It was just making him more frustrated and making her feel helpless. She said she felt like she was failing as a mother because she couldn't make her own child happy.
So what did she do?
She stopped trying to fix him, not in a giving up way, but in a spacious way. She started just sitting with her own worry and sadness about her son. Instead of rushing to solve everything, she would take a few minutes each morning to just feel how concerned she was, without immediately jumping into action mode. And gradually, she noticed she was less reactive when he was upset. Instead of meeting his anger with her own anxiety about his anger, she could just be present with it.
That takes so much courage.
It does. And she said something really beautiful happened. When she stopped trying to fix him, she started seeing him differently. Not as a problem to be solved, but as a young person going through something difficult. And somehow that space she created in herself, it gave him space too.
Oh, that gives me chills. Because it's like when we stop fighting our own thoughts and feelings, we stop fighting everyone else's too.
Right. And he started talking to her again. Not right away, but gradually. Because she wasn't coming at him with this energy of, I need you to be different.
That story really shows how sitting with our thoughts isn't just about us. It's about how we show up in the world. When I'm fighting with my own anxiety, I'm kind of fighting with everything around me too. But when I can just be with the anxiety, there's more room for everything else.
That's beautifully put. More room for everything else. I think that's what people don't realize about sitting with difficult thoughts. It's not about becoming passive or giving up. It's about becoming spacious.
Spacious. I love that word for this. Because when you think about it, thoughts are just information. They're like messengers. Some bring good news, some bring concerning news. But they're all just doing their job of letting us know what's happening inside.
Right. And you wouldn't shoot the messenger, would you?
Exactly. You'd listen to the message. You might not like what they're telling you, but you'd hear them out. And then you can decide what to do with that information. But you can't make a good decision if you're too busy fighting with the messenger.
And sometimes the message isn't what we think it is at first glance. Like that anxious thought about being late might actually be telling you something about how much you value being reliable, or how important this appointment is to you. That sad thought about a relationship might be pointing to how much you care about connection. Even uncomfortable thoughts often have wisdom in them if we can listen without immediately defending ourselves. I'm thinking about listeners who might be wondering, how do you actually do this? How do you sit with a thought that feels overwhelming or scary?
That's such an important question because it can feel impossible when you're in the middle of it. I think start small. Maybe start with a thought that's just mildly uncomfortable, not the big scary ones. Like if you're feeling a little worried about something small, maybe you're running a few minutes late, or you noticed a small bill you forgot to pay. These everyday irritations are perfect practice grounds because they're not overwhelming, but they still trigger that urge to push the feeling away or fix it immediately.
Practice with the smaller stuff.
I think one thing that trips people up is this idea of sitting with thoughts means you have to like them or agree with them. But it's not about approval, it's about acknowledgement. You can sit with a jealous thought without deciding that jealousy is good. You can be present with anger without acting on it destructively. You're just making space for the full range of human experience to exist within you, without immediately having to judge it or change it.
That's a crucial distinction. There's a difference between sitting with a thought and getting carried away by it, isn't there? Sitting with it means you maintain some awareness that you're observing the thought. But sometimes we slip from, I'm having the thought that I might fail this project, to, I'm definitely going to fail this project, and here's all the evidence why. At that point, we're not sitting with the thought anymore. We're in it, swimming around in it.
When I notice I've gotten swept away by a thought, I try to gently come back to that observer perspective. Sometimes I'll literally say to myself, oh, I notice I'm thinking about this really intensely right now. Or I might name what I'm feeling. This is worry. This is sadness. This is frustration. It's like stepping back from a painting to see the whole picture instead of getting lost in one tiny detail. Right, and literally just notice it. You might say to yourself, I'm having the thought that I might be late to my appointment. Not, I'm going to be late and it's going to be terrible. Just, I'm having this thought.
And timing matters too, doesn't it? If you're rushing to get somewhere or in the middle of a stressful situation, it's probably not the ideal time to practice sitting with difficult thoughts. But maybe later, when you have a quiet moment, you can revisit that feeling. Like, earlier today, I noticed I was really anxious about that presentation. Let me just sit with that feeling for a moment now that I have some space. That creates some distance, doesn't it, between you and the thought?
Yes, it reminds you that you are not your thoughts. You're the person having the thoughts. Like, you're not the storm, you're the sky that the storm is passing through.
That's such a peaceful image. The sky is always there, even when there are storms. The sky doesn't get damaged by the weather.
Right, and sometimes sitting with a thought means just breathing while it's there, not trying to understand it or analyze it or make it go away. Just breathing and letting it be part of the moment.
You know what I've noticed? When I fight with my thoughts, my whole body gets tense. But when I just let them be there, I can physically feel myself relaxing, even if the thought itself doesn't change.
Oh, that's such a good observation. Your body knows the difference between fighting and accepting. And when your body's relaxed, your mind has more space too. It's all connected, yes, and there's something to be said for noticing where you feel thoughts in your body. Anxiety might show up as tightness in your chest or shoulders. Sadness might feel heavy in your stomach. Anger could be heat in your face or tension in your jaw. When you start paying attention to these physical sensations alongside the mental experience, it gives you more information about what you're actually working with. It's like your body is giving you additional data about your emotional state.
It really is. I think this might be one of the kindest things we can do for ourselves, to stop being at war with our own minds. You know, one thing I've noticed is how this practice changes the way I interact with other people when they're going through difficult emotions. Before, when someone was upset, I had this urge to fix it or make them feel better immediately. But now I can be more present with their experience without needing to change it. It's like I've learned to sit with my own discomfort around other people's pain, which makes me a better friend, a better listener.
That's beautifully said, David. Because when you think about it, your thoughts are trying to help you. Even the worried ones, even the sad ones. They're trying to keep you safe or help you process something important. They're not the enemy.
Right. They might be a little overzealous sometimes, like a friend who's trying to protect you but going a bit overboard, but the intention is good.
And you know what? This doesn't have to be perfect. Some days you'll be able to sit peacefully with difficult thoughts, and other days you'll find yourself fighting them again. And that's okay too. That's just being human. And it's worth mentioning that this isn't about becoming emotionally numb or detached. You're not trying to feel less. If anything, you might end up feeling more but with less resistance. It's like the difference between being caught in a riptide and learning to float. Both involve being in the water, but one is panicked struggling and the other is conscious surrender to the current.
Absolutely. It's a practice, not a destination. Some days the storm clouds are lighter, some days they're heavier, but you're always the sky.
As we close today, I want to leave you with something gentle to consider. What if the next time you notice a difficult thought, instead of pushing it away, you just say hello to it, like you would to an old acquaintance you run into at the store? You don't have to invite them for coffee, but you can acknowledge them. Oh, hello, worry about my presentation tomorrow. Hello, sadness about that conversation that didn't go well. Hello, frustration about being stuck in traffic. Just a simple greeting, nothing more required.
Oh, hello, anxiety. Hello, sadness. I see you there.
Exactly. You don't have to invite them for dinner, but you can acknowledge them. And then see what happens. See if there's a little more space, a little more peace in that acknowledgement. Remember, this is perhaps one of the most radical acts of self-compassion you can practice. In a world that's constantly telling us to think positive, stay busy, fix everything immediately, choosing to simply be present with whatever arises in your inner world is almost revolutionary. You're choosing to be a friend to yourself rather than a critic, a curious observer rather than a harsh judge.
Thank you for spending this time with us today, for being willing to explore these quieter moments with us. Remember, you don't have to figure this out all at once. This isn't about becoming perfect at sitting with thoughts. It's about becoming more curious, more gentle, more patient with the messiness of being human. Some days you'll remember these ideas, and other days you'll forget completely and fight with your thoughts like you always have. And that's perfectly okay too.
Just one breath, one thought, one moment at a time. We'll be here next week with another conversation from the space between thoughts. Until then, be gentle with yourself. And remember, you're already perfect at being you.
Until we meet again in this space, take care.